afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast Addendum with me, your host, Imperial Dane. Continuing here with our little saga of, covering different commanders that could do with some overhauls, and we're finally back here with the Wehrmacht. Another faction with a lot of commands, of which a bunch of them definitely could deal with it. But I think there's definitely some that could probably sort of just require in some ways less work, which will be, I think, pretty interesting. Amongst those, I think, is mechanized assault. Start out as a kind of bastard doctrine due to assault guns being too good, Stugis being too good, and then sort of just got consistently nerfed onto the stage, which is not very good anymore. Partly because the assault gun of these just aren't very good, the Stugi isn't very good, the mechanized assault group just now was good because the 250 half tank, is just basically a self-propelled bucket. The artillery barrage just isn't anything to write home about, and then you finally got the Tiger tank, which is great. The problem is just there are numerous other doctrines with Tiger tanks, and most of them are actually better. So, in this regard, I'd say mechanized assault is a doctrine. Again, say speeds and firepower, right? Again, mechanized assault. The problem is just most of it just doesn't increasingly live up to that name. So, I think what needs to happen again, we overhaul it. We sort of look at the different parts to improve that. But definitely say with the assault gun is we sort of drop the notion of having a serial PP assault unit like that. Let's say, all right, 2 command points. Make them better, make them tougher, give them some extra stuff to maybe work around with, and then we might actually have something better there. So I'd say probably increase the manpower from the 280 and now to close to say 340, maybe a bit more than that. Increase the firepower they can deal maybe by a bit, give them some better abilities or rules to start out with, or maybe also make it a bit harder to kill, and then sort of after that we sort of give them some abilities and better scale, because that's one of the issues with the assault gunners right now. They scale terribly after the first few moments, which is basically in part what just kind of kills them. In that regard, I'd probably then just suggest some upgrades. Either could be they simply get access to some, say, captured weapons like PPH-41s. The Germans actually captured a ton of them. In fact, they converted a ton of them to using German ammunition. So, that could be one way, That way they also look a bit, different again when the sun begins sweeping with Surtset machine guns. It could be, captured American Thompsons. I have heard throughout the time, assault rifles, and I don't feel that could push them a bit too much into Pentagon territory. Then again, so the stormtroopers with the regular assault rifles, or maybe just again having them get a large assault rifle overhaul that way could be a way that would maybe require some sort of tech before there was. You could just quickly get 5-man assault rifle squads quickly, in which case screw the enemy. Or we could go for something in between where they just say 2 gets infrared assault rifles, the rest still get decent MP40s. That way they sort of gain a bit, I think, better weapons profile for sort of longer ranges. Maybe they get 3 infrared assault, something like that, still pack a punch up close, maybe that way. But otherwise, some sort of upgrade that sort of adds something. So when you actually consider calling them in again after a certain point, you're not just going to get, massively disappointed. But definitely, I think something needs done. Again, that's sort of overall what might be a suggestion there. Then we come to the mechanized assault group. The dream would be giving the bloody, 250 half-track a machine gun somehow. I don't know how they do it, but if they could do it, that would make me absolutely ecstatic with joy, jumping up and down. That would be, the dream. Secondary dream, and of course give it a reinforcement ability. Oh wait, it needs to be able to reinforce. It's a half-track. It needs to reinforce. End of story. But also, I think, if it can't get a machine gun, at least you'd have some ability to boost troops nearby it, give them maybe some better accuracy or rate of fire, something like that, where, at least has some purpose besides being a self-propelled bucket, because, again, that's largely what it is, and for the cost, it's absolutely not worth it. So, unless, the half-tank gains some sort of additional life and its own some additional utility, it's going to be absolutely useless. Of course, this will also benefit the mechanized grenadier group from German mechanized. That, be a plus there as well. So, I definitely think, mechanized assault group, no matter what, in the 250 half-tech, needs to be looked at. The Stugi, another sort of, unit that has seen a lot of sort of stuff happen to it. Initially, it was actually not good enough. Then it became too good. And now it's sort of back to not being good enough. The problem, again, is sort of, the entire role it's sort of meant to fulfill. It's essentially an infantry support gun. Again, sort of kind of like to Sturmpanzer IV and sort of what we got there. But, again, that sort of pushes into sort of slightly awkward territory. I suppose we could sort of try to look further and just slightly making its AoE better, but again not good. The problem is, again, though, as a call-in, it's just too easy to spam. So whatever happens in terms of buffs, I think again we need to do with every other armor. It needs to require tech, it needs to require building, because as long as it's just a call-in, it's going to be absolute hell to balance. But if we sort of just improve the AoE and make it require tech, I think we'd actually put the Stugi in a much better position, because a lot of issues throughout the time have just been call in some sort of medium armor. and not have to tech. And unsurprisingly, in most cases, it turns out to be a bad idea. So make it quad tech, improve its AoE, and I think the Strugi is going to be in a much better place. And then the light artillery barrage, honestly, I think that just needs to go. I think we need something that says mechanized assault with a big capital M. And in that regard, I'd probably recommend something similar to what Breakthrough is for, Encirclement, except it's an actual assault ability. It's basically just, you pay, say, 50, even 100 fuel, and then all of a sudden your tanks get a speed and, firepower boost, like a Mars Blitzkrieg. In that regard, mechanized assault would actually then come very close to the original Blitzkrieg doctrine in Companies 1, which would sort of be a nice callback there, since it has such an ability as well. That also inflicted infantry. I don't think it should affect infantry here, but basically sort of a Mars armored assault ability. I think that'd give mechanized assault, that boost, that speed, and set up some really cool tactics. So, sort of, again, I've just called it, just call it mechanized assault, to be honest, straight up, does what it says on the tin. And then, of course, the target just be a disc, of course. And one thought I've actually been playing around with is, they could theoretically just, play a bit around, like, with what Tigers are available, give them sort of different abilities, because, theoretically there was, like, a ton of different Tiger situations that could be, servers, like, for example, doing Arnhem, there were Tiger tanks, being coupled together from other tanks, basically training Tigers. So, theoretically, you could also have, like, veteran Tiger tank, or, training Tiger tank for some doctrine. That could be sort of a little fun thing to play around with. But obviously, in this case, Tiger tank, maybe just, give them some sort of, like, other sort of, descriptor, and then have some sort of specific abilities. Even then, like, not every Tiger tank is similar. So for example, again, for mechanized assault, the Tiger tank there could, instead of, say, Blitzkrieg, have some sort of other ability, and then a Tiger tank from Spearhead could again have a similarly different ability, and again Lightning War and so on there. That's just more of a fun idea of playing around there, but that could be sort of a way that's also to make the different Tigers stand about a bit more, and again allow them to sort of fit in. So what would it give the mechanized assault Tiger in that case? You might be wondering. Well, there are a few abilities there, but I think in that regard, maybe just sticking with Blitzkrieg could be there. Though of course, it could also just be the ability for the Tiger tank to just throw grenades out automatically, nearby infantry, maybe. But I think that's sort of how do mechanized assault. Again, it's sort of a doctrine that's again close to being good, but again, the problem is just a lot of the stuff just isn't working anymore. So basically, a lot of fine-tuning, a lot of polishing, and again giving something that sort of gives a bit more fresh focus. So I think that could sort of make mechanized assault a lot better overall, personally. And then the bigger question is, then there's a lot of other doctrines: close air support, Luftwaffe supply, Spearhead. Personally, again, I know that a bunch of people disagree with things like Festung support or Festung. There's just so much with the Wehrmacht there that sort of So again, the question, of course, what is we choose? What do we choose, and what do we do something with? Overall there, that's the big question here. Which one do we pick? The air support ones, it just feels like a bit weird, because it's just air support. It's a bit difficult to get anything serious out of it, I feel. So I probably wouldn't personally bother with them. Like, again, I think they're just an extent lost process, simply because again they're just massively munition dependent in some way, and while of course they have some other stuff they can do, ultimately they don't really offer a lot of sort of other avenues. They don't directly support any strategy, so they just sort of really just from there. Again, personally, I'd say Spearhead. Again, it's another Tiger doctrine, but again, it's just one of those, it's got some bombing strikes, fragmentation bombs, yeah, but so does assault support. Again, it's a very nondescript, I feel, doctrine, again, one with a Tiger. So, a part of me would just saying, and again, the mortar after is just, in this regard, again, you just, make the mortar after better. In this regard, while it's close, I think the issue is just basically the incendiary mortar barrels. It's just not very good. It's too expensive for what it does. Compared with the American white phosphorus and the mortar after, which is just barely cost anything. It could be an argument for making that one more expensive, but just I think that one needs to be a bit better. Probably needs to fire like 3 mortar rounds instead of just 1, or at least maybe 2, because right now it's just you shoot 60 munitions and doesn't even hit the target, in which case you just went, wow, I feel ripped off with 4 munitions. I can't quite remember it, but that I definitely think could be improved upon. Then also replace Panzertechnik with an ability called Spearhead for all tanks with the turret. Basically, it does what the King Tiger Spearhead mode does, which is lock down the turret, gives suppression, some better range, and that way just makes it more well Spearhead-like. I think that would be personally pretty cool. It's a Spearhead, it's about pushing forward to hit aggressively and just shooting down everything in front of you. And Panzertechnik reconnaissance flight, even there, doesn't quite fit in. Mortar after you think can be used to support the Spearhead, but the rest just feels a bit awkward. Fragmentation bombs work, and the Tiger tank in that case maybe give it some sort of more spearheady ability. Maybe, you know, gets the ability to fire some sort of special fragmentation round, though I don't think the Tiger used that. Though you could argue they might have nabbed a airburst round from a Flak 88, and it's the same gun, so technically they could use it and, you know, fire off an airburst round. Bit of a stretch, but it would be cool. It would be cool. I'm just saying. Would fit it. And then, of course, we just replace, say, Reconnaissance Overflight with some sort of infantry. And again, the spearhead assault will require, you know, some sort of assault infantry. You know, something a bit more on the point. Could be stormtroopers. Could be assault grenadiers. Of course, that might be pushing a bit much. Could be some sort of new Sturm Pioneer units, or Sturm Pioneers, basically, just, you know, slight variation from the Oberkommando West ones. Maybe slightly better stats in some ways, access to some other stuff. But that could be an idea, though. Maybe just Obersoldaten with, say, just standard inflated Sturmgewehrs. But on the other hand, they cost straight up 400 manpower. Again, more expensive up front, but you get what you know worth. Money's worth out of it. So I think that's sort of there. Again, I feel that makes Spearhead more of a spearhead. You know, just sort of more immediate, forward, aggressive, you know, shock tactics. With some artillery support and the other stuff, they just quickly just smash stuff apart. Whereas again, this one is sort of more about, you know, mass mechanized maneuvers, also including infantry. Again, combined up, of course, is very important here for the Germans. So that's sort of be, you know, my way of doing it. Plus, again, we'd sort of get some differentiation between the different Tiger tanks, which again I feel would also, you know, be pretty neat. And again, airburst shell. Just think about it. It would be pretty sweet. Of course, not on the opposite end, but usually when you're the Germans, you're not quite considerate about that. But anyways, that's just more fun. Again, I'm not seriously fully expecting, but there's a part of me that definitely would love to see it. So there you go. Some thoughts on how to overhaul the German commands, at least the ones I'd suggest. Of course, feel free to disagree with me. And go, a lot of people are going to apparently disagree with the Spearhead, but again, that's just me. Again, my thoughts. But, you know, feel free to, you know, fire off your own commands you'd like to overhaul, and maybe how you'd like to see them overhauled. This is Imperial Thing for now, signing off, and see you all another time for another video. Cheers.